My husband was born in Chicago. He got smicha when he was about 18, and then he went to New York to study under Rabbi Soloveitchik.
Rav David Lehrfield was a true Eved Hashem.
He never wanted any kavod. He used to run away from it. But the most thing was he never took himself seriously. He was always with a joke.
He had the greatest sense of humor. Rabbi Lehrfield was so funny.
He always wanted to make people happy, and he was always happy when you were around him. It was just made you happy no matter what it was.
Before they invented a thing called emotional intelligence, he was a professor in understanding the human dynamic and how to help a person grow forward.
He had a tremendous humility. He wasn't like really interested in kavod. He wasn't interested in power. He was really interested in results.
One of the most amazing things about Rabbi Lehrfield was his simplicity, his pashtus. He used to ride a bicycle to shul. I think there are very few gedolei rabbanim who is one of the senior rabbanim of America who will be caught riding a bicycle.
I heard this story from someone who moved into the neighborhood. They just moved in and they saw a middle-aged man cutting a lawn, and they hadn't yet figured out where to find such a service. So they walked over to the gentleman and they said, "Sir, would you mind cutting our lawn after you're finished?" So the gentleman said, "Certainly, I'd be more than happy to do it." The family was very surprised when they davened at the Young Israel of Greater Miami Friday night and found out that that gentleman was in fact Rabbi Lehrfield.
My father basically knew Kol Torah Kula by heart. Chumash, Navi, Nach, Mishlei, Tehillim, everything he knew by heart.
He was a baki in many intricate halachas that very, very few people know. Gittin, Geiris. He was trusted by Gedolei Yisrael.
He had a yacht in all of his farm, and everything he said, he had him a car. I remember one time a friend of mine came and said, "I heard that you said this psak, is that really true?" So he said, "Why, it's not true? It's on page 92 in the Aruch HaShulchan in the top column," and he showed him exactly where it was.
Nothing gave my father more joy, more simcha, more hana than teaching Torah. Whether he was teaching Torah to Balabatim in Shul, to Talmidim in Torah Emes, Torah Chaim, to his Talmidot in Beis Yaakov. My father made Torah enjoyable, and that's how we grew up. We sat in the lines at Disney World, and we chazered everything that we learned that year. We did all of our parshios. We did all of Pirkei Avos.
A major part of being part of Rabbi Lehrfield's shul was observing him speak every Friday night, Shabbos day, and to see how he mastered the art of public speaking. He was an absolute perfect orator.
But his words did more than help one's ears and one's ego. He had the power to massage your soul.
Anything that had to do with the community, he viewed it as his achrayus.
And he was the glue that held the community together. He was the engine that helped drive the growth.
When we moved here, people were moving away in droves. And my husband started saying, "We can't move from this neighborhood. We've got to keep this neighborhood. It's got to become a Makom Torah, and we have to have the yeshiva here."
My father was a very staunch supporter of Torah Emes. In fact, he was one of the founders when they started on South Beach.
He was on the original board of directors, but more than that, he was a community leader and he had tremendous influence.
He wanted to do Ratzon Hashem. And Ratzon Hashem is to have a Makom Torah in his community. And he was relentless in that pursuit.
My father was the one that invited Torah Emes to North Miami Beach, and he was very, very involved in the fundraising to move them here. My father, he would teach all the time, he would give shiurim there all the time.
Anytime you asked him anything, he was always ready to help.
Day in, day out, year in, year out, he was an address that we turned to. We asked him for advice, he gave support, and it was a little bit hard to imagine then what would become, but together and with other people as well, we were able to grow the yeshiva step by step and build to the point that it reached today.
I think my husband is irreplaceable. Everything that happened in North Miami Beach, we were part of.
We, as Torah Emes, Torah Chaim, owe Hakar Satov to that man for what he did for our children, what he did for generations of children, what he did for a community, how he elevated and changed lives.
I miss him dearly, dearly, dearly. One of a kind, can never be replaced.
He led, he directed, he pushed for the things that need to happen, and yet he was able to do it in such a way that he remained beloved to all the people.
The Talmud says, Ein Baal Hanes Makar Beniso. A person receiving a miracle just isn't aware of the miracle he is receiving. For me, to be here tonight with Miriam, realizing that I and Miriam have had children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren going to this school is a miracle I just can't believe. And I'm so thankful to Hashem that He has given Miriam and myself the ability to see this great continuation in our community. And I couldn't be doing it if we were not in this community with Torah Semes and Torah Chaim.